These are my dreams. This is who I need to become to achieve those dreams. This is my true story, my true purpose, my true message, and I'm going to bring that to the world through the channel of social media. Your personal brand is the proactive vehicle that enables you to deliver your purpose.
Does that give someone power?
I think so, 100%. How can we create a formula or a framework to at least understand why someone is succeeding and why someone else isn't? Asking what is success? How can we be successful? How can we challenge traditional models of success? It's actually very simple to build a personal brand. You learn these skills and you do it consistently. But why was not everyone I worked with successful then?
Welcome to the Business Growth Podcast, powered by ActionCOACH UK, the world #1 in business coaching. Since 1993, we've helped thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs worldwide smash through their limits and achieve extraordinary results. This is more than a podcast, it's your blueprint for success. So grab a pen and paper, take notes, and make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell for weekly growth insights. Let's do this. ActionCOACH, the help you need to grow your business.
What does it really take to build a personal brand that isn't just about likes and followers, but about purpose, impact, and flow? James Vincent is joined by Hannah Power, personal brand coach, speaker, and author of The Power of You. Why do some people succeed while others don't? That search led her to develop her powerful framework of dreamer, achiever, and performer modes, a fresh perspective on success, balance, and living in flow. She's worked with entrepreneurs and leaders to combine personal development with digital marketing, showing that personal branding isn't just a LinkedIn profile, it's the conscious creation of your best self. Let's do this.
This episode is sponsored by Truest, helping you stand out in Google search. If you want customer reviews on your website, then Truest is the one for you. The Power of You, Hannah Power.
Yes.
What is the success mindset, Hannah?
Well, it's a very good question. Nice to go straight in. As you know, you've been talking to my parents all day. When I started my entrepreneurial journey in 2018, which I'd really resisted for a really long time, because whilst mum and dad had lots of highs, there were lots of challenges in our life in terms of what entrepreneurship had brought. So I thought, I'm going to go into the corporate system and I'm going to study law and I'm going to go and work. And I lasted an inspiring 2.5 years in the corporate system before I quit and moved to Bali. And when I got to Bali and I decided to let this entrepreneurial spirit out of me, I really wanted to understand, why are some people successful and why aren't others, and what actually is success? And how can we create a formula or a framework to not guarantee success, but at least understand why someone is succeeding and why someone else isn't? And that really started my journey into my study of success. And I wrote about the success mindset in that first book, and I'm now writing my second book, which is all about the study and the research and these 3 success modes that we exist in.
What are the 3 modes?
So the 3 modes are dreamer mode, achiever mode, and performer mode.
I like that.
So dreamer mode is where the majority of entrepreneurs really live, which is this place of lots of ideas and lots of excitement and chasing shiny things and but actually procrastinating, not moving forward, not getting things done. Most of our world actually lives in dreamer mode. I will do this. Bit like, next year, Rodney, I'm going to be a millionaire.
This time next year, Rodders.
Exactly. And then the other side of the extreme, which is where the rest of most of the world lives, who are getting things, who are progressing, is achiever mode, which is the extreme high performance, overworking, burnout, control, obsession.
Right.
And what we tend to do is cycle between the two. You have a dominant mode of dreamer and achiever mode. So everyone knows naturally, I'm naturally in achiever mode or I'm naturally in dreamer mode. The ADHD people among us tend to be naturally more dreamer mode, because it's that kind of dopamine of chasing new ideas and coming up with new ideas. And actually where we succeed is really having a balance of those 2 energies, which is a balance of, of the doing and the rest, of the ideas, but also the data and the structure. And that's what I call performer mode. And when we're in performer mode, we're in flow. So my next book is really about the journey of asking what is success, how can we be successful, how can we challenge traditional models of success, and then how can we find out which mode we're predominantly in, and how can we then step into performer mode? Because when we're in performer mode, we're in flow, we're in alignment. It's like magic. Those moments when you're you're doing what you're meant to be doing, everything's working, you meet the right people, this works, and you're like, oh, this feels so good because you're in flow. And my mission is to get as many people into that state as possible and out of these toxic modes of dreamer and achiever mode, which is where we mostly live. You know, I'm scrolling on my phone, watching Netflix, getting up at 10 a.m. or I'm up at 5 a.m. and I'm having a cold shower and I'm really extreme and I'm starving myself, and this just constant extreme world that we live in. And there's actually a nice place of balance between those two energies.
Have you read The Psychology of Happiness by Mihaly?
I've read parts of it.
It is a deep book, that's for sure. But obviously he's one of the originators of flow in the modern world, even though it dates back 6,000 years to Chinese philosophy. Yeah. Well, it'll be Egyptian back 6,000, won't it? So, look, the state of flow, I've heard someone say, flow's, and I believe this, flow is something that you don't want to get in and out of. You want to stay in. Yeah. You want to get there and be there. And part of that is having purpose, and part of that is, in your world, you help people with their personal branding.
Yes. So personal branding that's like my job. That's what I do. I'm a personal brand coach and work with business owners to build their brands and build their businesses online. So the work around flow is sort of my own tool, my own philosophy, my own framework to make that work. Because when I started doing personal branding and I learned the strategy of it, you know, get a clear message, clarify your niche, post on social media, be consistent. It was so simple. Like, it actually is so simple. It's actually very simple to build a personal brand. You learn these skills and you do it consistently. But why was not everyone I worked with successful then? Why were some people getting ridiculous results from my work and other people not succeeding? And that was because those ones were already in flow and those people were out of flow. So that's how I apply my flow theory to the world of personal branding. And the personal branding world, to me, personal branding sits on the balance of personal development and digital marketing and like business strategy. That's why I love it, because it satisfies both of those like obsessions, addictions of mine. And for me, personal branding is the conscious creation of your best self and then the sharing of that with the world. It's not a LinkedIn profile.
Love that.
It's much, much bigger than that. It's saying, these are my dreams. This is who I need to become to achieve those dreams. This is my true story, my true purpose, my true message, and I'm going to bring that to the world through the channel of social media. But personal branding is seen as, you know, a LinkedIn profile, a viral TikTok video, when actually that's just a channel for something bigger. And I prefer the bigger bit. I like social media. I love social media. I think it's one of the most incredible gifts that we have actually, in terms of enabling us to live in a amazing new technological utopia if you learn to use it rather than have it use you. But personal branding to me is much, much bigger than that.
Personal development and digital marketing combined.
Yeah, I think it sits like right on the balance of those two things.
It does, yeah. I mean, proudly sharing with the world who you properly are. You know, come back to that flow bit. Authentic versus fake. Are the people that are faking it, trying to be someone that they're not, they're the ones that are not in flow?
Yeah, I would say the faking it is probably more, I mean, there's a certain degree of, I wouldn't call faking it, I would call pretend, of when you define, if you study the law of attraction or anything like that, have you ever looked into that? Yeah. And they say, right, so define your goal and then work out who is the version of you that achieves that goal, and then think, act, believe and behave like that person. And then you upgrade your identity, your concept of yourself, and then you become that person. You're kind of pretending to be that person. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, there's always a little bit of development that goes on there.
So you're sort of saying, I'm going to pretend that I believe this thing that I don't believe. I'm going to pretend to go to the gym when I don't want to go, so that I can pretend to be the person that goes, because I know the best version of myself does this thing. So pretend and fake, I would say the life of moving into flow, because most of us aren't naturally in flow, we have to identify what is our most flow-like self and pretend to be them until we're no longer pretending. But you're only pretending to be your true self. That's what's so crazy, because most of us are living in an untrue version of ourselves created by society and all of that sort of thing. But when you say the fake it till you make it people, I would say that would be the achiever mode people that are chasing something and trying to force something and make something work because they believe that it's going to create some kind of outcome or feeling or experience for them, when in reality, alignment is the way.
Where does purpose sit in all of this?
For me, your personal brand is the almost like the packaging and the delivery of your purpose. If you are clear on what your purpose is, and I think purpose can send people down rabbit holes looking for things that don't exist. So I think we have to spend some time on it and then just move forward.
Is that the part of the issue, though, that a lot of people have, is they don't spend the time on it?
I think so.
Carving out the right thing that they believe, that's connected to them on a deep level, that they can then go with.
Yeah, I think so, because I think that we're so obsessed with short-term, fast results.
How long does it take?
It depends on the level of development and awareness of the person.
Right.
I think that you have people that are self-aware, performer mode, self-aware, really positive. That's where we want to be. You have people that are unaware and kind of potentially in a victim mindset. That would be more of like the dreamer mode. And then you have almost the achiever mode style of this, which is what's referred to as self-intellectualization, which is where you've gone so far into your self-awareness that you've become almost you've gone into over-analysis of purpose and happiness and all of those things. And we are at a point where a lot of us are doing that, where we're studying so much how to live. We've learned all the theories, but we don't know how to put it into practice because we've actually lost sense of how to live like a normal person. So I think that we always have to find that balance. That's why that perform mode is always coming back to that balance of doing and thinking, resting and progressing. And with the purpose piece, I think your personal brand is the proactive vehicle that enables you to deliver your purpose. And once your personal brand is in alignment with your purpose, the things that you love, the people that you want to serve, the things that you're best at, it flows in a way that it doesn't when you haven't done that work. And that's challenging as a personal brand coach, because people are coming to me because they want likes and followers and leads. And that's not really the point. You don't need likes and followers and leads to achieve the state that you're looking for. Sometimes it's ego, sometimes it's survival, right? Which I totally understand. And if somebody comes to me and they're in a state of extreme survival, but sometimes they're in a state of survival that they're not actually in.
It's not going to help them survive anyway, is it? Really, it's probably denial.
It can be. I mean, if I lost all of my money right now and I needed to pay my bills and I had no personal brand, I was starting from scratch, and I thought, what's the fastest way that I know that I'm going to be able to make money to pay my rent? I would create a LinkedIn profile, an Instagram profile, get very clear on a problem I solve for a niche audience and create a unique way of doing that, which you can do really bloody fast now with ChatGPT, and put a bit of content out there and start DMing people until I found those people with that problem that wanted solving and sell them that solution. So I do think it can be used as a survival instinct if you have the skills, as a survival strategy if you have the skills. But most of us are living in a really high state of stress and survival because our nervous systems are so disrupted that there's no amount of leads or followers or anything that's going to fulfill essentially a bucket with a hole in it, which is how a lot of our nervous systems are operating at, because we're living in this crazy world that ultimately we as humans don't really know how to manage. But if you do learn how to master it, we're living in a tech utopia. I'm so glad I was born now. I would have struggled in the other times.
Tech utopia. This is cool. All right. So what have us older folks got to learn from you that see it as a tech utopia? Because I want all of the listeners to see that this is a tech utopia for every listener right now. What have we got to learn?
What have you got to learn? I think simplification, is really important. When I work with I think business of the older world compared to the newer world, there's a lot of stuff that came in and, we need to do this, there's a lot of stuff being done for the sake of it being done.
Right.
The new world, I think, is much nittier and grittier, like have an idea, get it up, get it tested and progress forward. So I think there's a simpler, messier MVP mindset, I would say. Simpler yet messier MVP mindset.
I love that.
And then I think I would find a young person, might be your son, your daughter, your nephew, someone that you know that's young, and give them a small amount of money, which is a big amount of money to them. That was one thing that mum and dad did so well with us, more me, because I was like obsessed with making money from such a young age. Give them a little bit of money, because like £10 an hour to somebody who's like 18 is actually like really good, or even more than that. And work with them to combine your knowledge with how they know how to communicate and package that online. Because it doesn't matter what you know really anymore. It matters how well you can market and package and distribute that.
So true.
And it's brutal. I do understand that that's brutal for people that have spent 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Some of my clients have been in their industry for 40 years. But it's survival of the fittest. Like, that is the world that we live in. So it is what it is. So complain about it and don't do it. Of course, I get a lot of people saying, oh, I'm not going to do this stuff. I don't believe in this stuff. And all these phones are rotting our... And I absolutely no problem. Like, your bloodline, it will probably die with you. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, if you don't learn this stuff, then you're not going to progress. Whereas if you just embrace it, and my mum and dad, again, have always been very good at this, and go, this is the world, this is what I need to learn. Who do I need to learn it from? I'm going to get it done. And those are some of those clients that I work with who are of the older generation. They're the most fun to work with, because they've got all of that knowledge and passion and skill and experience. And then you're adding that to this new, ridiculously fun, silly world of content and social media and all of those things. And it's actually just like so fun, and it's really cool. And I think having more fun with it is really important, because serious doesn't really sell anymore.
It doesn't, does it?
No, it really doesn't. It's really brutal. But if you see how, like, do you spend much time on TikTok?
A little bit.
If you see the way that the brands, the big brands, the airlines, the banks, the specs, everyone have basically just given their social media accounts over to Gen Z and gone, basically, do whatever you want. And it is ridiculous. It's like Black Mirror, but it's hilarious, because you get a video that goes viral and you see, Specsavers in the comments, and then Hovis, and then Jaguar Land Rover. And it's all ridiculous. And that's the new world of silliness, and the big brands are catching on to that. And I think the individual needs to catch on to that as well, because I think we can take ourselves so seriously. And I think that we have to take our work seriously and our businesses seriously, but I think we have to kind of not take ourselves and our marketing too seriously, because I think that it just doesn't land in this world anymore.
Yeah, I mean, be serious about your passion, be serious about your purpose, be serious about what you do, be prepared to be a little bit silly.
Yeah.
About communicating it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, because that's the stuff that does so well. People always say to me, oh, I've been posting on LinkedIn for ages, and I did this post that, it pissed me off that my, postman did this, or something happened here and it was ridiculous. And it went viral and it's so annoying. And I'm like, yes, because we live in this world of entertainment. So you need to find a way to, I was talking outside, to the lovely, I don't actually know his name, sorry, the lovely guy who's doing the photos, Neil. And he was saying he's director of edutainment. And I was like, that's so great. Everyone needs a director of edutainment, because we have to find a way to package education into a more entertaining way. And I think that's so great. As somebody who was fortunately born with a smart brain, so did well in school, but oh my gosh, was I so bored. Was I just so bored, and I used to get into trouble because I was so bored. But that was not a place for most people to thrive.
You don't seem like the person that gets in too much trouble, though.
I did. Are you joking?
No.
Oh no, I did. But the thing is, I was just right on the line where I could just...
Well, you learned that from your dad. Your dad lives on the edge.
Yeah, I was just on the line between... Yeah. But because I did do well in school, I was born with a smart brain, and Dad really well trained our memories. So we've all got really good memories, because Dad positively programmed our memories from the youngest age through affirmations.
What's your favourite affirmation?
Affirmations are the most underrated way of changing your entire existence. The affirmation was very simple. We would just say every day before bed, I have an excellent memory. I easily remember names, numbers, facts, and information. And we had to say it every night before bed when he'd come kiss us goodnight. And you had to do the easily, like as big as you could. Like, I easily remember.
I'm going to teach my kids that tonight.
And just say it every night before bed. And then you will not meet people with better memories than me, Ross and TJ. Because we've just literally, or Ross, TJ and I should say, because we've just had that programmed into us. And it's so underestimated how powerful I think a memory is for success. It's crazy.
Yeah, your dad did allude to that about the billionaires on the planet. They kind of remember everything. They're observing everything. They know exactly the bits to focus on and remember.
Well, because to spot opportunities, you have to be able to spot patterns, and to spot patterns, you need to be able to retain a large amount of information to then be able to make links. And I think that, with scrolling and with ChatGPT, they're doing a lot of studies now where our brains are getting dumber and dumber because we're outsourcing all of our thinking to ChatGPT. As in, the dreamer moders are. The performer moders are seeing it as a tool for development. The achiever moders are using it to burn themselves out even faster.
Right.
But
right? I get it.
Yeah, of course, because it's, achiever moders are, yes, productivity, more work, more results, more push, more overwhelm, more cognitive overwhelm for my brain, more burnout, speed my way to burnout. And the dreamers are going, brilliant, now I don't have to do any work. This is easy. I'll outsource this. Their brain's getting even slower. So we have to find a balance between these two. So yes.
Is the people's power in their personal brand then? Getting it right, getting in flow, does that give someone power?
I think so, 100%. I mean, if you think about what's a personal brand, it's just the conscious creation and then public creation of you. And what is a better thing to invest in and develop in a world that's undergoing as much change as we are than having the clarity of knowing what you do best and what you're good at and improving the skills that you need to, and then knowing how to bring that to the world in a world which is obsessed with fame, always has been, always will be. And sometimes people ask, in fact, the taxi driver on the way here, he's like, "Oh, you famous?" Because we said we were coming for this interview to me and Ross, and we were like, no, we're not famous. He's like, "Do you want to be famous?" And I have no desire to be famous for the sake of fame, but fame is a really useful resource because we live in a world where we do see people who have fame as more credible. You basically get a better experience of society if you are famous. And I'm not saying every personal brand needs to be famous at all. Every person even needs to be famous at all. But I've always been of the mindset of like, if the resource is there and it's going to help me to have a better, more fulfilling life and help more people and live my dream life, I'm going to take every chance that I can do with that. And I think growing up with entrepreneurial parents and internet entrepreneurs in the 90s, which is really rare, we learned how to be very resilient and to be ready for when winter comes. And I think that having a personal brand just helps you to do that. And that was true for me and my family, my clients, through COVID and through everything that I've seen. There's just no downside of it. And the journey of doing it blows open so many of the wounds which are guiding your life. Once you get over the first fear is the fear of posting. Oh, people are going to think I'm cringe, this, that. People are going to say this, people are going to say that. Overcoming that is so life-changing. That's why Mel Robbins' Let Them theory has gone so viral, because it's kind of let people think what they want. And personal branding is just like personal development on crack. So by doing it, you create a great career and you change your life, you change the lives of others, but also the person you have to become to do it creates you a better life because you become a stronger, better, more confident, more resilient person. And we need that in this world because we are not really, as a collective, getting that right.
Yeah, the more you do it, the more you begin to believe in it as well, and then the more you become it.
Totally. It's a great way to do the pretending. And it's not fake it till you make it, but
no, it's deliberately and consciously becoming someone who you want to be in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
When you plan it, it's not fake, is it? And because, we should all be becoming something more based on what we want to achieve in life.
Totally.
So,
and perception is reality. And people do perceive those who are, who look good, who sound good, who do these things as a more successful resource, a successful person to follow. Like, you have to kind of don't hate the player, hate the game with it, I think. And I've heard all the things that people have said about me, and I know all the stuff about cringe this and this, that. Like, yes, that is the reality of the situation, but I live my dream life because I chose to do those things, and the resilience and the strength that I've built through learning not to care about those sorts of things, it makes me a better business person.
How did you learn not to care?
I've had a lot of therapy.
What hurt you most?
What hurt me most was when I never really cared about what strangers said, on the internet. It's so silly, the stuff they say. Like, it's so crazy. What hurt me most was peers, people that I knew, basically taking the piss. That was really, really hard. However, I did so much and I still continue to do so much personal development. I really, really believed that said so much more about them than it did about me. And I was so inspired by the people that I was following, the people that I was learning from, the personal brands who had changed my life when I was in such a dark place. So I just always focused on where I was going and letting go of whatever was not meant to be there, and then therapy to help me through my tears.
So, but the dark place, the lowest of low that you've been, what was it?
I would say I've had like 3 really big rock bottoms, I would say. Different events that happened. Some when I was overcoming addiction, some when I was overcoming PTSD after I'd been raped when I was on holiday. And yeah, 2 addictions and 1 was overcoming that. And these were really, really dark times where it was other people's personal brands which pulled me through that. Authors, speakers, podcasters, creators who were a light in a dark place. And that was actually what led me into doing personal branding in the first place. When I was in Bali and trying to work out what am I going to do, and I looked at all the skills that I had. Because when I first started, the map that I've now created and I help my clients and people to go through, I did struggle to find something like that. There are more people doing that now. So I just basically wrote out a list of things of basically like a car guy. You know that concept? Ikigai, yeah.
Yeah.
Ikigai, is that a nicer way to say it? I always say car guy, I say it wrong.
Japanese philosophy.
So, what do I love doing? What am I the best at? What does the world need? And
what do I get paid for?
And what do I get paid for? And just playing that out. And I had skills in social media and personal branding just because of life of, with mum and dad and always being interested in it, always being interested in the power of the internet. I loved the internet. That was the first place I got flow because I couldn't sing, couldn't act, wasn't good at sport. My flow came on a computer. So I looked at all of those skills, and then I looked at these incredible books that I had been reading through these really difficult times, and these different people who were sharing their stories and sharing theories and practices and things that I could overcome. And not just, from Viktor Frankl's really deep search for meaning, all the way through to, Tim Ferriss and Russell Brunson's How to Build an Online Business, looking at spirituality with Gabby Bernstein, overcoming trauma with Katie Piper, Eckhart Tolle stuff, Tony Robbins, you name it, I was consuming it all. And then I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to be like this for other people. And I want to help other people be like this for other people, because we've all got stories and messages and skills and passions and experiences that can change the lives of others. Mm-hmm. And what better business is there to build than a life that changes your life by changing the life of someone else? Like, that's the perfect business, purpose and profit. And that's what I wanted to create. And we live in a world of purpose or profit. And I wanted to find a way to do purpose and profit. And that's what I've done and helped my clients to do. And that's like the best life ever. That's success to me.
I didn't know you were going to say that thing at the start of all that about being raped.
Yeah.
But the way that you spoke about it, you're coming across with real strength and conviction and certainty now. Yeah. Has that situation in life made you stronger?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was a very transformational experience. I was 23 years old and on a different path. And when you go through that level of trauma, I was, there's a whole dark story behind it, that level of trauma, and you see that side of the world, but also you feel that you've been given a second chance, because there was time when I was in that situation that I felt like I was, going to die. You come out very different from that. You see life in a very different way. And there was really dark times. It led to, massive alcohol overload and things like that. But eventually, and now when something's hard, I'm like, this is hard, but you've done harder. And it does give you a certain strength, and it teaches you about, it taught me so much about life and forgiveness and growth and healing. And I share the story openly, not because I do it for gratuitous reasons, which I think, unfortunately, it can be pulled up, particularly in interviews and things like that before, because it's a shocking story and it's all of this. Not for gratuitous reasons, not because I want sympathy, but because it's such a common crime, and it creates so much shame. And shame is the lowest vibrational emotion. David Hawkins, do you know his work where he talks about how you can measure emotion, and we have every emotion has a vibration.
I've seen that as well.
And shame is the lowest, below guilt, below grief, below anger, below fear. Shame is right at the bottom, below apathy. And we live in a world where so many people are living in that low vibrational state of shame because this thing gets done to them and they're said, it's not your fault, it's not your fault. But also don't talk about it. And also don't tell anyone about it because then they'll feel awkward. Don't even use the word rape because it makes everyone feel really awkward. So it's like, it's not my fault, but now I've got the secret. I'm part of this club I don't want to be a part of. It's not my fault, but I'm in it. So you end up in this cycle of like complete confusion and pain and loss and loneliness. And I share it because there might be someone listening who's experienced that or knows someone that's experienced that. Everyone knows someone that has actually been through that. That's the crazy thing, but they probably won't know they've been through that. The amount of people, family members, friends, people at weddings who share with me that happened to them and they've never told anyone else. And I share it for that reason and because it did make me stronger and it did start me on my journey to where I am now.
And just in case any of the listeners are relating to your story there, are there any words of advice or encouragement that you can give them?
That's such a big question. I think for me, it was to know that it's not the breaking of you, it is the making of you. And it does give you a sense of strength and resilience. And it might not feel like that if you're in the dark sides of it. But if you can be someone that can overcome having that level of power taken away from you and being in such a level of disempowerment, it's like you go to the bottom of disempowerment and then you can ping your way up to the top of empowerment. And empowerment is the most really important thing that you need to create any change, any goodness in your life, whether that's a romantic relationship, a business, anything at all. You need to feel empowered. You need to feel that you can do that. We live in a very disempowered society. So I think that it can, if you go into the pain and you heal the pain and you forgive yourself and you eventually forgive the person that did that to you, which when I was first introduced to that concept, thought that was the most crazy concept, like so crazy, like no way. Like angry at the person that said that to me. How can you say that? But now totally believe that unfortunately or fortunately is the only way, like Jesus taught us. Then you can ping your way up all the way to the top of empowerment and you can become the strongest, bravest.
What are you most proud of in your life?
My perseverance, I would say.
Where do you learn that?
From myself. There's lots of things I would give to other people, but I have an unbelievable level of ability to keep going through dark, difficult situations and get back up every single time, whether that's business or romantic relationships or personal traumas. And I think that, I would say that I'm the proudest of my perseverance, but also my ability now to live in the present and enjoy what I have whilst being on the pursuit for more and being able to live in a state of peaceful progress is what I call it in performer mode. And I think that's because of my relationship, which I've developed over the years with God and with Jesus. So I would say perseverance and presence.
What's the most beautiful thing in personal branding?
As in doing it as a job?
No, for the listeners, for when they personally brand themselves.
When you see somebody step into who they truly are and you see this fire and this light come over them that they could have dulled since childhood, and you see it come over them, and it happens before they go online. A lot of the work is done offline before we put stuff online. Yeah. And somebody will come to a call and they will go, things are different. I feel different. And they will start showing up differently in their life in terms of they'll set boundaries here, or they'll stop doing this, or they'll start doing this. And I see and I feel the transformation of the person. And I think it is the transformation of the person to become the truest version of yourself. And what better pursuit of that to become the best and truest version of yourself?
I've interviewed several people on personal branding. But you've said some things in here that I've not heard before from anywhere else. You know, the serious, silly, entertaining piece, really cool. I love the affirmations that your dad taught you as well.
Oh my gosh, they're so good.
Yeah, I've got young children, so I'll be putting that into play this evening.
Well, you should think about what do you think is the most important thing to program into your kids and create your own one. That was what Dad, I don't know, Dad just...
I've got a bit of that going on already. So.
Yeah.
Dreamer, achiever, performer. That is a really good sort of framework as well that you've got in there.
Good. Well, the book comes out next year, so I'm glad you like it.
But the simpler, messier, and an MVP. You know, it's some solid gold in all of it. What's been your favourite part?
Do you know what's been my favourite part of this interview? Yeah. It's the fact that you have managed in a short space of time to enable me to cover everything that I like to talk about. We've managed to talk about personal branding, tech, personal development, God, overcoming trauma. We've touched on a bit of addiction. I have so many wide things that I like to talk about. I've had a wide experience and I have a lot to share and a good memory, so I don't forget any of it. And I think the fact you've managed to cover everything is really impressive in 30 minutes, so I appreciate that. You're good, you're quick.
Hannah Power, you are a rock star. I am looking forward to seeing your success in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Starting your own business was an exciting time, wasn't it? The good days you had and the bad. You knew you'd have to work hard, but you did it for your future. Lately, though, you're missing out on the important things in life. Time seems to be slipping by. So make the change. Claim back your work-life balance and grow your business today. Visit actioncoach.co.uk